Hello children, we will continue with chapter 8 Cell Unit of Life, Eukaryotic Cells and the different cell organelles which are found both in plants as well as in animals. So let us start with our discussion. The first organelle that we talk about is mitochondria. Now what is the mitochondria? You all are familiar. Mitochondria is a cell organelle that is responsible for energy release. It produces energy through the process of respiration by using oxygen, by utilizing oxygen. That is, aerobic respiration is carried out with the help of the cell organelle mitochondria. Now, what is the structure of mitochondria like? So, to know about it, the mitochondria, it is an oblong-shaped tiny cell organelle found inside plants as well as animal cells. It has double membrane. It has the outer membrane and an inner membrane. The inner membrane is highly folded. It is highly folded in order to increase the surface area, and these foldings are called as cristae. The inner chamber is filled with a fluid which is called as matrix. There is a space between the outer membrane and inner membrane, which we refer to as intermembrane space, and it is very significant. This space is very significant during the production of energy. Other than that, a very important feature or characteristic of mitochondria is that they have their own DNA or genetic material as well as the ribosomes. So, mitochondria as a cell organelle, it can produce its own types of proteins as and when required, as they have their own genetic material. Now, furthermore, the structure itself, the outer layer is smooth and the inner is folded, which is called as cristae, function to increase the surface area. Then, the function of mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell. Why? Because it can produce energy. It is the site or the location where cellular respiration can take place or does take place. How does the cellular respiration take place? By breaking down of glucose with the help of oxygen to produce ATP, that is the energy molecules. It not just produces the energy, but it can also help in the release of energy as well as storage of energy. Next cell organelle that we talk about is plastids. Now, unlike mitochondria, which is present in both plants and animal cells, plastids are found only and only in plant cells. You will never find plastids in animal cells. These are the organelles that are responsible for photosynthesis. How they are responsible for photosynthesis? Because they contain pigments. Pigments which are the components responsible for absorption of light energy, that is sunlight, and thereby convert that light energy to chemical energy, that is ATP, and that is possible within the plastids. So plastids, because plastids are present only in plants, so only plants are capable of carrying out photosynthesis. Now, depending upon the type of pigment, we categorize plastids into three types. Chloroplast, which are the green plastids because they contain chlorophyll, the green pigment. Chromoplasts, which are colored other than green because they contain the other types of pigments like xanthophyll and carotene, which are colored other than green. They may be yellow, orange. Likewise, then the third type of plastids are the leucoplasts, which are colorless. They do not contain any pigments, as also their function is not to absorb light, but they simply act as storage organelles. So here you can see function of plastids, storage of starch, pigments and other cellular products. Then they act as the chief power factory of plants. Why we are calling them power factory? Because they are the organelles responsible for absorption of sunlight. So here you can see the picture of the plastids under the microscope. So these are the plastids enclosed within the cells. Furthermore, plastids are unique structures found only in plants. These are three types which I've already mentioned: chloroplast, chromoplast, leucoplast. So these are the three types. Now, what does the plastid structure look like? The plastids, they have these important parts within it. So here we have the figure to assist in our explanation. The plastids, like the mitochondria, they are also double membrane, outer membrane and inner membrane. The inner membrane encloses a space which is filled with stroma, a gel-like fluid which is called as stroma, and this stroma contains many enzymes which will help in the process of photosynthesis. The stroma has within it some stacked up structures which are called as thylakoids. Thylakoids are the main sunlight absorbing structures. These are the ones which will contain abundance of chlorophyll. The stacks of thylakoids together is known as the grana. The grana, they are interconnected with the help of stroma lamellae. Now the grana, they are responsible for absorption of light energy and also conversion to chemical energy, after which that chemical energy is utilized within the stroma. The stroma will get carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. It has the specific enzymes required for the photosynthetic reaction, and so the energy obtained from grana will then be utilized to produce glucose within the stroma. That is the process of photosynthesis. So functioning of the plastid, during the functioning of the plastid, both stroma, thylakoids or the grana are equally responsible. So this is the chloroplast again. It is double membrane. It contains the grana. Thylakoids make up the grana. Stroma, gel-like material surrounding the grana, then found in both in plants. That is, even algae, which are included under plants, they are found, but you will never find them in animals. Then the next organelle we move to is ribosomes. All of you familiar, ribosomes are the structures, cell organelles, which does not have a membrane. It is membraneless and it is responsible for protein production. So here you have the ribosome structure. The ribosome, when we see it, view it in the cell, both plants as well as animals, it is actually a large unit, but that large unit is in turn made up a large unit which needs to be joined up with a small unit in order to make the structure complete. So during protein formation, what will happen? The RNA, that will ribonucleic acid, that will help in protein production, gets trapped in between this large and small unit here, and that thereby help in production of proteins. It was first observed by Pallet in 1953, made of ribonucleic acid and protein. It is mainly made up of RNA. Its body inside there is RNA present, as well as there is some protein also present in it, which will act as the enzymes. Then there, as I mentioned a little while ago, it is membraneless. It does not have an outer covering as we find in other cell organelles. Now the larger unit, okay, or the complete unit rather, the complete unit is ATS. Okay, ATS, already we have explained about what is Fedberg's number, how we get this number. We have already discussed about it in my previous lectures. So the whole unit is ATS. Individually they are 60 and 40 as Fedberg's number. Function to synthesize proteins. Next, we have the cytoskeleton. Now, cytoskeleton or the cytoplasm is the cytoplasm only, which we are calling a cytoskeleton. Now, this is the cell's skeleton. It is considered as a cell skeleton. That means it maintains the shape of the cell. The cell membrane, the nucleus, and here you have the cytoskeleton. Cytoskeleton, that is the cytoplasm. Now, cytoplasm, all this time we have been learning it as simply a gel-like substance, but actually it is made up of fibers. Fiber-like protein structures makes up the cytoskeleton. Next, we have the cilia and flagella. Now, cilia and flagella, they are simple outgrowths, hair-like outgrowths from the cell. They help function is to help in movement of the cells. They always originate from the basal body within the cell. The structure of cilia and flagella. Okay, the structure you can see here. This is a cilia or flagella. Structure remains the same. This is the structure. Now the plasma membrane. Here, this is the plasma membrane of the cell. We have to imagine it. This is the plasma membrane of the cell, and below the plasma membrane lies the basal body. Now, the cilia or flagella, we actually observe it simple as a hair-like structure. But internally, it is quite complicated. Internally, it is made up of some microtubules. Okay, long tubules which extend throughout. Okay, these are fibers which are placed parallelly, but not randomly. They have a definite arrangement present, and the definite arrangement is in the form of these microtubules. They have a central one pair of microtubules, and on the periphery you will find pairs of microtubules, again interconnected with proteins. This is the surface view that you are getting, but actually what is it? It is long. This way it extends from the tip to the base, that is to the basal body. Each of these tubules, they are again further interconnected and closed by a membrane called as exoneme. So here you have furthermore the diagrammatic view of it. So you have the peripheral microtubules which are in doublets, the plasma membrane or the exoneme you have, then the central microtubule which is a pair, and on the periphery you have 9 such pairs. 9 pairs we have again which are interconnected with each other. So you have here outer covering exoneme, they're made up of microtubules, 9 peripheral, 9 pairs are present on the periphery plus 2 centrally with 9 radial spokes. These are the spokes. These are the spokes. Here also you can see they're interconnected, and also linkers. Linkers means interconnections between each pair of the 9 peripheral tubules. Next you have centrosome and centrioles. Now, centrosome and centrioles, this is a cell organelle you will find exclusively in animal cells. They are never found in plant cells. Now, centrosome and centrioles, they're actually the same. Okay, one is known as centrosome, a pair is known as centriole. So a pair of centrosomes makes up a centriole, and they are placed perpendicular. They are placed perpendicular to each other. They are placed perpendicular to each other, and each of these, they are again made up of microtubules as like the cilia and flagella. But the only difference that exists here is that they are made up of triplets. Earlier case we saw they were made up of doublets, but in this case they are made up of triplets. Here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. 9 triplets, and also the radially they are present. Centrosome, pair of centrioles surrounded by centrosphere or kinosphere. 9 triplet or microfibers. Hub central connected by spokes to peripheral, form basal bodies. Okay, they form the basal bodies, form function, then they form the spindle fibers during cell division in animals. During cell division, which we will be learning in our upcoming discussions. Okay, during that cell division, the centrosome or centrioles, they have a very important significance in that they help to form the spindle fibers. Then here, furthermore, the diagrammatic view of the centrosome or the centrioles, you have these triplets which are again interconnected. So that is all for discussion presently. Next, we will move to the discussion of the nucleus.